Okay, so now that you've done the example assessment, you're now going to assess your own rough draft. Okay, so on this form, you're going to submit your rough draft of whichever paper it is. In the example that I'm using here, it's the personal essay. You're going to submit that first. Okay, so there's right here. You're going to click in here. It's going to look different for you because this is my view and not yours. But you're going to click in here and you're going to submit using the paperclip. Remember that these links are here to help you figure out how to submit or any problems that you're having with the assignment. But you can always message me, and you can also always make an appointment with IT, which you can get extra credit for. Don't forget. Okay, so in this case, you're going to be essentially doing the same thing that you did with the example draft, but now you're going to be doing it with your own draft. Okay, so first and foremost, you submit your draft, right? I'm not asking you to correct. If you like, oh, I was supposed to have a works cited, not in this assignment, but in the other ones. If I was supposed to have a works cited and you realize that after the fact, that's okay. It does not matter. Okay, so you mark it incomplete on when you get to the works cited question, and you move on. So submit your rough draft first, then start the personal assessment. Okay? You're going to start by reading through the assignment sheet. This is how you make sure you know what's expected of you in the assignment. I know that like you read it before and I went over it before, but just trust and believe. You're not going to remember everything. I don't remember everything. You need to read it again. Okay? So go through this so that you know what's expected of you, and then you're going to go through and you're going to mark each of the ones that applies to your essay. Remember, you're going to have it pulled up, split screen, use the split screen so that you can look at your essay and the questions at the same time. So you're going to first look at your introduction paragraph and you're going to determine how complete is your introduction paragraph, and you're going to mark it. And then what I included in here automatically is these extra sources. So if you give yourself meets complete or incomplete on something, you've noticed that there's a little something missing from that section. And that's great. That's awesome. That's literally the whole point of this assignment. Okay. If you were giving yourself all Excels, I actually won't give you credit for the assignment if you give yourself all Excels, because there's no possible way you got all Excels. That's not how rough drafts work. Okay. So you're going to give yourself some meets complete or incomplete. And in those cases, you're going to be given some extra links on how to improve that section of your essay. If you give yourself an Excels in that area, first of all, good job. Secondly, you're not done. Just because you got an Excels does not mean you can't do something else. And so whenever you've marked an Excels, I will have included notes on how to do a little bit something extra, a little bit of the spice to add to what you think is already an excelling section of your essay. Because things can always be improved on. And that's why we can do example assessments with professionals' papers, because writing can always be improved. Okay? So you're going to go like that through all of these. I don't recommend that you try to like watch the videos as you're doing the assessment. Do the whole assessment, submit it, and then you can come back and look at these videos and articles for the extra areas that you want to continue working on before you submit your final draft. Okay? So you're going to answer all of these questions. Remember, you can't give yourself all Excels. You can't give yourself all incomplete. I'm not going to take that as an answer. However, other than that, there's not really a way to fail this assignment. And also, if you look at your paper and you did your best and you go through all of these items and you realize that like it's mostly incomplete, guess what? You still get an A on this assignment. On this assignment, you still get an A because you completed it. That's all I'm care about here, right? If you're realizing that like there's a couple completes, but like mostly incomplete, there was like one meets, I don't care. That's great. I'm so glad you noticed. Let's work on it. And we're going to spend the next 2 weeks of every module going from the self-assessment to the final draft. So whatever you notice that you need to work on here, we're going to have space to work on before we turn in the final draft. Okay? So the purpose of this is just to get you to think carefully about your own writing, which I know is so painful. Believe. I read so much of my own writing all the time. It's rough. I understand. It's also really, really important to being a good writer. I'm sorry. I do not make the rules. I'm sorry. So we're going to get good at it. Okay? If you have any questions, always just message me. Otherwise, try to have a little bit of fun. Pretend you're like a teacher and you're like, you know, getting paid too little and you're grading late at night with a red pen and it's like your 80th paper. I don't know. Do whatever gets you in the mood. See you next time.